Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today we have set number 75981. This is the LEGO Harry Potter Advent Calendar containing 335 pieces and retailing for $39.99 in the US. And, you know, that's a normal price for a licensed Advent Calendar. Obviously, the City and Friends ones are $30 each, and, you know, the Star Wars and Harry Potter ones, or at least the last two Harry Potter ones, which are the only two, have been $40 consistently, so this should be about equal with, previous years, and you know, should be pretty comparable. As far as the box art goes, it's pretty decent. It does have Harry and Ron in their Yule Ball outfits, so it looks like this will be mostly Yule Ball focused. And if we turn this around, we can see a little bit more of a preview of what's inside. And if we flip this down, we can see we get a little tree set up. You know, the background of this one's okay, like just as a little bit of a display map, but I think that I much prefer this year's Star Wars Advent Calendar's box over this one. This is just not that impressive looking. But just to show you how this works, obviously you'll open up a door. I've already opened all of them and built all of them, so you can see that day one we'll have Harry with a little bit of extra stuff included too. So honestly, this feels like a particularly generous Advent Calendar build, because not only does it actually have a figure with an exclusive printed accessory. The figure isn't exclusive, but it also includes this tiny little build here. And yeah, it's not much, but it's a little table with a candle on it, and it is cool to get a candle piece. So not going to complain too much, but let's take a closer look at the figure. And it is the same one included in the Hogwarts clock tower. So if you already have that, you know, this isn't really going to be too special to you, but the suit print is pretty decent, so you know, you could get some use out of that in other situations. The hairpiece is cool. It's the Ninjago movie Lloyd hair in black, which they've used on a couple of Goblet of Fire sets. That printed 2x3 tile with the Yule Ball invitation is really nice. It's got a little bit of metallic printing there. Whoops, for the snowflakes, as you can see a little bit if I move it back and forth. And turning it to the back, he does have an alternate facial expression, which I guess we can frame up with the hair for you so you can see what that looks like. And yeah, I mean, that's the same one that they use in most of the regular retail sets for the Goblet of Fire stuff. Day 2 is this little mini Hogwarts build, which looks pretty decently well done. It looks to be a representation of the Great Hall and the Whomping Willow attached, which, you know, works okay. You have the little archway. Makes enough sense, I think, but it's not anything too ridiculously impressive. I like the little tooth plate used there to get a little bit of suggestion of the little, I don't know what you'd even call them, little spike things that are on the side of the Great Hall. And it's got the tower, which is probably more accurately sized than the one on the Great Hall set, but yeah, it's fine. Nothing crazy special, though. It looks decent enough, and you can definitely tell what it is. Day 3 is this little mini build of the Durmstrang ship, which this is kind of cool, I guess. We haven't seen a Durmstrang ship set since the original Goblet of Fire wave, which was back when the minifigures were not all that great. They did have flesh skin tones, though, back then, so at least they were that far. But yeah, this is a mildly pricey set on the aftermarket, and maybe we'll get another remake of it at some point soon. But yeah, it's okay. You can rock back and forth a little bit because it is built on these curved slopes, and yeah, it's got a little mast, and I mean, it's okay. I feel like the only reason you can tell it's the Durmstrang ship, though, is because it is a ship in a Harry Potter set. It's not particularly, like, there's no detail on this that I can point to and say, oh, that could only be the Durmstrang ship. So, you know, take it or leave it, but it's not terrible. This little Bobaton carriage, though, is kind of a bit more recognizable, I'd say. Obviously, it's still not the greatest build of all time, but for the scale, I think that it is good. It has a little suggestion of a flying horse, Pegasus there, which is clipped on, so you can angle it a little bit if you wanted to. The wheels don't spin. You can slide it all along if you want. You can pull it along, and it's not really going to have too much friction, so it won't stop you from pulling it, but you know, they don't spin or anything, which makes sense at a scale of this size. And yeah, I mean, the colors are good, and it's definitely recognizable. So it looks like we've sort of been building up the arrival to Hogwarts with these last 3 builds. I wonder what they'll do next. Day 5 gives us this Cho Chang in her Yule Ball dress, which is a decent figure. The skin tone is still wrong, but I guess LEGO is pretty sure that they're right on this Cho Chang skin color, because every single one has had the same thing. So, leaving that aside, I think that the printing for the dress looks pretty good. We do get some back printing on the torso. It would have been great if they could have printed on the back of the brick that they use for the dress. And the reason that they do that for the dresses is to make them the same height as other minifigures with mid-legs. So instead of using a dress slope piece, which would make them taller, this kind of makes them more height accurate. She does get a wand, which makes sense. And her hairpiece is pretty uncommon, having come in 2 city sets and the crocodile locomotive, so it is cool to get here. And I think that that hairpiece works for this scene. It's, again, just that face that really doesn't. This face is actually the same one that was used in the Hogwarts accessory set, which was one of the things that made her exclusive to that, but I guess now she isn't, but that's not that big a deal, because it is a pretty good face print for her, other than the fact that it is on the wrong color head. For day 6, we actually have a build for the Goblet of Fire, which looks pretty good. We've only had one other attempt, at least in the current modern Harry Potter theme, of building the Goblet of Fire, and it was a pretty sad one featured in the bottom of the Clock Tower set. And yeah, this is definitely way better than that. I actually don't know if you could just directly swap this over. I think this may be too tall for that space, but this is definitely a better looking version of the Goblet of Fire. Yeah, I mean, I like it quite a bit. It does have the glittery flame, with, it's got that glitter molded inside of it. And yeah, I mean, it just, the base of it looks pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with this build. And next up for day 7, we have this build for the gramophone, which resembles the one that McGonagall was using in the dance lesson scene from the movie. So, it's a pretty decent build, and it is kind of cool to just be getting a couple more minifigure scale accessories. There really isn't a good place, within all the Hogwarts sets, to be able to put all this stuff, but, as a minor complaint, then you could obviously mock your own areas to put them all in. But yeah, it's cool to get something else that will add to the overall Yule Ball environment. And next up for day 8, we have this little couch, and this little couch is kind of cool because it does also come with the golden egg, which is a cool little accessory from the first challenge, right? Yeah, first challenge. And you can put a minifigure sitting on the couch. You could maybe squeeze 2 in there, but it'll be a bit tight. But yeah, you can put Harry there, sitting on his couch, looking at his golden egg, and I think that's kind of cool. The overall design of the couch is pretty simple, and I don't know if there's a specific couch from the movie that this is trying to be. I think it's just trying to be a couch that you would put somewhere, possibly Gryffindor common room, since the colors do sort of line up. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's a nice way to get the egg again. Day 9 gives us this little table, and there's really nothing special about it. It's just a table. I do kind of like the way they do the legs for it, using one of these cross plates and having 4 1x1 cylinders there to look like the legs of the table. And it does have a little bottle on it with an orange flower as a cover, I guess. So, I don't really know exactly what this is, like what that's supposed to be, but it's there. And, it is basically just a table that you can put somewhere. You can put it next to the couch, kind of works pretty well. Day 10 gives us Ron in his Yule Ball outfit, which is the same figure from the Clock Tower set, which is again kind of a shame because it does seem like if you have the Clock Tower set, this set's figure selection is going to be a lot less interesting to you. And it would have been kind of nice if there was some sort of variation. I don't know what you could do to make it a little bit more varied, but it would have been nice to see them figure something out. That being said, this is still a good figure, and I do like it. He's got some subtle printing on the torso and alternate facial expression where he's a little bit angrier. But yeah, the overall design of this figure is good. It's just, I already own one, and there's not really a good way to mess up an army of Yule Ball dancer figures. So, it's kind of whatever, but for people who don't have the Clock Tower, this will be kind of nice. So for day number 11, we get this little fireplace build, which is fine. I mean, it's nothing special, really. Just a little fireplace with a stocking. The stocking is kind of nice. I guess this is about as good as last year's fireplace, which I actually do happen to have right here, because when I bought the Clock Tower, the sellers just sent me an extra little Fireplace and Flitwick, so I have this here, so I figured might as well show you. They are very similar in design, down to having the same exact top half. Like you have a 1x2 brick with a pin in it that you stick something Christmassy to. I kind of like the look of the base of this one better, though it is cool to get those scroll bricks on the old one. But anyway, back to this one, because that's kind of what's important here. We do actually have a flame piece, which the other one didn't have, so that looks a little bit better. And I like the bar in front. I think that it overall looks pretty cool. Stocking is a nice thought, but having the little corners show up around the edges of the bottom, it kind of makes the whole curves that they tried to get going there a little bit pointless, at least in my opinion. So you build day 11 like this, and it becomes a little bit confusing until you realize that it's on the box like that, and it's supposed to be a little window. I don't know why you're building a window, but you can actually clip it right onto the fireplace. So it's got a little glass of water or something right there, which is kind of a neat little build, and I do like the little foliage up there. I think that that makes it look Christmassy, and from the back it's nothing special, but from the front it kind of looks okay, and it allows you to build up a little bit of a backdrop with physical bricks here. And next up for day number 13, we have this little Christmas tree, which is kind of nice, and this goes with the Yule Ball decorations pretty well. With the whole white color scheme with the little pyramids and translite blue, little cheese slopes, and it looks crystally, which is kind of cool. From the back, the star is a little bit plain, but from the front, the star works well. And yes, tree, like the way that this is built up is very reminiscent of quite a few Christmas tree builds that they've done so far for other themes, but they do make so many mini Christmas tree builds that eventually they're going to have to reuse some, so I guess I don't mind it that much, and at least the color scheme on this one makes it a little bit unique. Day 14 returns us to the world of random windows, and this one also can get clipped onto the other thing to build the full thing that is seen on the box, so I assume we'll have no more windows. And you'd have a chocolate frog on the windowsill here, which is kind of cool because it's a little bit of a less common part than the water pieces, though I do kind of respect the water build, so I don't know. It's fine, and creates a little backdrop. If we put a figure in front of it, you can see it's it's okay sized. The windowsills are very low, and maybe it would have been nice if those were like one stud taller, but it's okay for what it is. And for day 15, we actually have an exclusive minifigure again. This is Padma Patil, and this is the first time that we've actually gotten this character in minifigure form at all. So that's kind of cool. And it is her Yule Ball attire, which is probably I think it might be the only scene where they actually have any lines in the movie, so a little bit unfortunate for them, but it's cool that they finally got a minifigure appearance. The torso and leg printing are exclusive, well, not leg, but dress brick pieces. Those are exclusive to this set, and the coloring is pretty nice. I like the use of vibrant coral, makes it stand out a little bit, and works pretty well. The face print is also new and exclusive to this set, and unlike Cho Chang, it's actually a skin tone that makes sense for these characters. Yeah, the lips are a little bit redder on, well, I guess maybe they're just more obvious because the mouth is closed. Maybe they are the same shade of red. But does have a dark tan wand, or not, dark orange wand, and yeah, uses a hairpiece that isn't too rare, so it's nothing special, but it definitely, I think, works for these characters. For day 16, we get these two really kind of lame mini trees. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're fine. They look okay, especially if you put this other one like in between them. They'll look fine as like little extra trees, but and again they do have the crystally color scheme, but the builds themselves are kind of boring, and this is kind of one of the lamer days of this advent calendar. And next up, day 17 gives us this little piano, and it's extremely small. Almost feels more like a toy piano, but for what it is, it's okay, and it does give us one of these keyboard prints, which is pretty cool, so I do appreciate that, at least. What they went for with the shaping is overall pretty decent. It's just kind of not really a great scale for minifigures, but to just put it in the background and have it there, it isn't too terrible. And day 18 gives us this half of a table, which, at this point you could just put it up against a wall and say that it's just actually a half table. It uses these crystal structures in the middle that are very similar to the ones from the Yule Ball set, though it doesn't continue the little icicles going around the sides like that one, or the ones from that set did in the clock tower. It does have two little drinks here, built the same way that the windowsill water glass was. And it has some Christmas foliage with the green and red plants there. I don't know exactly what they're trying to represent as far as what type of plant is, because it's kind of a weird shape, but it looks okay, and it does have Technic holes on the back, so I would assume it'll probably connect to another half of the table. Day 19 gives us Parvati Patil, and completes the set of the Patel twins, and it's a very similar figure to the other one, but it does actually have inverted colors for the dress, which is kind of cool, but it does share the same face print, which normally I'd say it would have been nice to get alternate expressions, though I guess they do actually have an excuse this time because they are identical twins, so I guess it kind of makes sense, though they still could have, if they wanted to go above and beyond, made one side of the faces even, just have a different, like maybe a I don't know, some other expression. Though I guess they are pretty much just happy the whole time. We don't really see them. Well, I mean, isn't there a point where you see one of them frustrated during the Yule Ball when Ron and Harry don't want to do anything? I could be misremembering, but it is a decent figure, and it is again nice to get a new character in this advent calendar. And next up for day 20, we actually have the other half of that table, and it's got more crystal-y structures and some more drinks. No foliage of any kind, which does make that half of the table look a little bit plain. Though you could move one of these over to those two studs, just to kind of make the table look a little more symmetrical if you wanted to. Though I think, as a whole, this is actually a pretty good build, and well, even though it doesn't have the same kind of tablecloth build that the ones from the Clock Tower did, I don't think that this would look too bad next to them, and it does look to be a decent height for figures, with being one brick off the ground. Maybe it could have been a little bit taller, but you could easily just throw in an extra layer of white plates on the bottom and make it work. Day 21 here is actually a little bit interesting, because it does feature a pretty uncommon sheet music print. This only appears in 2 Disney Princess sets, also both from 2020, those being the Ariel Storybook Adventures book set, which is the cheapest way to get that print if you wanted it, and it also comes in the $60 Rapunzel Tower set. So, it's kind of cool to get it here. And it does go along with the piano, sort of, so that's kind of what I would imagine this to be. Though, the little microphone stand is a little bit strange, because I don't know why they use an ice cream cone piece in gray instead of a microphone part or something. I mean, I guess maybe I'm misremembering something from the movie and they should look a little bit more like that, but I don't know, you'd think it would make a little bit more sense. Maybe they don't use standard Muggle technology, though, and this is something else. Day 22 gives us Hermione in her Yule Ball outfit, which is again the same figure as in the Hogwarts Clock Tower. The printing for the torso and leg brick is pretty good, though, and I do think that overall this is a pretty good figure. It's just a little bit of a shame that, it is again one that I already have from the Clock Tower. So, and it wouldn't have bothered me if there were more reused figures in the set. It's just that the set that this kind of is designed to complement is the Clock Tower, and half of the figures in the set you already would have from the Clock Tower. So, it's just a little bit of a shame. Though it is nice to get that hairpiece again, which has only been used for Hermione in this color. Was introduced, I think, for the Calamity drone from the Lego movie. I don't know. No, I guess the Lone Ranger sets must have come out first, right? Because it's used on red in the Lone Ranger sets, and the Calamity drone from the Lego movie. Believe that that's right. But you can look into it yourself. The flesh tone is done really well on this figure, as I also commented on in my review of the Clock Tower. And the face prints do work pretty well for Hermione, so it's a good figure. It's just one that I already have. Day 23 gives us some gifts, which is something that's pretty typical for advent calendars, but I think that these are actually really well executed ones. Like, obviously, the Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw and Slytherin ones are kind of standard stuff. You'd expect to see this in, really any advent calendar, but they do kind of get the colors lining up. But the Gryffindor gift of the broomstick here is actually a really, really nice one, and it does use the letter print, which in the movie, at least, I believe that the broomstick came anonymously, so it didn't have a letter attached, but it is still a really cool build for this. And, maybe it would have been nice if they could have gotten that bracket in a dark red, but I believe it doesn't exist in that color yet. It's just a cool build, though, and, you can instantly tell what it's supposed to be. I like it quite a bit, and it's definitely a nice change to, the standard wrapped presents that you get in a lot of advent calendars, aside from Star Wars ones. And day 24 gives us the Triwizard Cup, which is a little bit of an interesting choice, just because usually they make sure to do something holiday related on the 24th, though I guess what you're kind of aiming for throughout the whole Goblet of Fire movie is the Triwizard Cup, so I guess to get that on the day before Christmas would be kind of nice, but I don't know. That being said, it is a pretty good build for the Triwizard Cup. I think that it looks really nice. Maybe it would have been nice if one of these could have been printed, just to make it look a little bit more special, because you could build this with your own pieces. There's nothing exclusive to it. The Dark Gray Snakes are a little bit rare, but they do appear in other sets, so it's nothing extremely special. Though, this is a cool thing to add, and it is somewhat minifigure scale as well, at the very least minifigure compatible. Overall, I think that what this advent calendar does well is building up some small little scenes, like this area over here with like what I assume, I'll call it a Gryffindor common room. This looks pretty decent, it's nothing like crazy details or anything, but I think for being built up of advent calendar builds, it comes together pretty nicely. The mini builds in the back, I don't care for too much. Like the Hogwarts one is pretty decent, but the other two are kind of whatever, though they only waste 3 days on that, so it's not that big a deal. I do like the little table. I think that these will all, this whole section over here will be nice add-ons to your little Yule Ball scene from the clock tower. And the Goblet of Fire and the Triwizard Cup are just both nice little builds that are just useful for general Harry Potter stuff. The figure selection, half of it is kind of because it's just repeats. I do really like the printed tile that they give to Harry, but if you have the clock tower and wanted to buy this to expand your Yule Ball stuff with the 3 exclusive figures, you'll be stuck with duplicates of the main 3. So take it or leave it. The Patil twins are both pretty good figures, and I have no problems with those. Cho, again, skin tone is wrong, but if you're willing to overlook that, then I think that that's a decent figure. Especially just to add into your Yule Ball scene at the clock tower. And I mean, I do really like the gifts. I think that is one of the more clever builds here. But overall, I mean, I think the biggest problem that I have with this advent calendar is last year's was just a lot better, because that one had the exclusive Harry and Ron in their sweaters, and the figures that it did duplicate weren't really ones from a set that the advent calendar was designed to complement. That's really... These 3 figures are probably my biggest problem with this advent calendar, and yes, I definitely get that it was designed for people who didn't buy the clock tower to have a Yule Ball scene, but for people who did, maybe this isn't the set for you. Though, if you're a big Harry Potter fan and you want the clock tower because you're a big Harry Potter fan, then you'll probably want all of the Yule Ball outfit figures, so you're going to buy this anyway. So, it's really, there's really no good way to pull that off, and unless they were going to change up these figures, maybe give them exclusive faces or something, or exclusive accessories, which they did do with Harry. So, would have been nice if they just did it with Ron or Hermione too. But enough complaining about the figure section of the set. I think that overall, for $40, this is a decent advent calendar value, and I don't think it's too terrible. I just think that this year's Star Wars one was way better, and last year's Harry Potter calendar was better than this one too. So, hopefully they can find something cool to do with next year's Harry Potter Advent Calendar if they do continue that. That'll kind of take it back to the level of the first one, which I thought that the first one was a really good Advent Calendar. And that one did have like 4 exclusive figures. This one has 3, of which 2 are pretty much the same. So, and yeah, I do understand that if you do one, you gotta have the other, but it kind of makes it feel a little bit lame when a third of your figures are basically the same thing. So, it's another minor complaint too. But yeah, that's all I got to say about the Harry Potter Advent Calendar. Hope you guys enjoyed this little review. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.